And welcome to episode 46 of Michelin 3's Ford Falcon 351 Crusty Wagon Project. Now, as you can see by my appearance, I am covered in dust. The shed is covered in dust. The tailgate is ready for me to paint. And I've got my painting gear out on the bench. So the next step is going to be to lay some primer down on this tailgate and see if I can hide the horrendous wavy mess that this lower tailgate section has become from all the years of denting and other shenanigans, probably some of my work too. I'll put some paint on it and just see what kind of mess it is once it's got a consistent colour of something on it. I'll be blunt, it's not going to get any better than this because I'm done with the sanding and the bogging and the sanding, and a kilo of bog has gone onto this panel and then back off again, and it's time to throw paint down and just live with it. So let's go. So now there's a coat of primer on it, I can tell that it is far from perfect. But that's okay, because this car is only meant to be viewed from afar as it drives down the road or across a parking lot. It's certainly not going to bear up under close inspection. We don't want that anyway. So there's a few nicks and divots that I could do with filling up, that I'm just not going to do. There's a little bit of fitting in the bog around here, which I'm going to ignore. So the plan is to put probably another coat of primer on it, sand the whole lot back, and then top coat later on this afternoon. Maybe even clear coat. Top coat, clear coat. Get it all done in one day, so I only annoy my neighbours for this afternoon and not throughout the week. Alright, coat number 2. So in other news, I've cut that rust out of the back of my, whatever you call this, frame of the car. I've got a couple of rust holes other than that I need to address, but once that was cut out it didn't look too horrendous. And if we go into the shed, car's covered in dust again, but never mind. Turn the lights on. Go into the shed and see that this channel here was the rusty piece that I've pulled out. I've drilled out the spot welds, and the plan is to replace that piece of channel with a piece of this channel, much the same way as I fixed the tailgate. So once I cut that to size and then bend it up to shape, I should just be able to tack it in to replace that, and that will take care of that hideous rust hole that I've been neglecting. It's like a red letter day, and getting all these small things sorted out to button this project up. The whole tailgate area has been a right mess, to be honest, because the bloody headlining's all torn around it where they took the bloody wind diffuser off, and all the parts were missing. I still need to throw that back together again, but I will cover that probably next week, because this week I'm going to focus on doing rust repairs, getting the tailgate in paint. Hopefully the week after that I'll put everything back together again, put the tailgate back in the car. I want to give the paint plenty of time to cure, because I'm going to put the tailgate on axle stands, put the tailgate onto the sawhorses much the same way as I took it off the car. So I need that paint to be as durable as possible, because I don't want to have to do it again once it's on the car. But I'm not ruling it out. So anyway, onwards and upwards. I've got to put some sandpaper on this, and then throw down some Neptune Blue, because we're rapidly running out of weekend and I still have lawns to mow. So let's get cracking. And here we have the painted product. I managed to get 4 coats out of that one gravity fed gun worth of paint mixed, and I was going to go clear coat, but now as I look at it in the shed light, there's so many imperfections in this tailgate that clear coat would only make that worse. So I'm going to leave it as it is. I read the technical data sheet while I was waiting for the paint to dry, and it also said make sure you go over the paint with 1200 grit before you clear coat, which I didn't do with the bonnet. So I'm just going to leave it as it is with the single pack acrylic top coat for this low effort tailgate repair. And I say low effort because I left the winder mechanism in the door because I didn't know how to get it out, and I didn't want to invest the effort to figure it out with the winder mechanism and all the other nonsense going on inside there. I just went nope. Anyway, time to move on to the rust repair of the arse of the car, because obviously this can't go back in until I've fixed those rust holes in the back of the car. And on that subject, I actually ran the car out of gas again today. I went to start the car and it said, no, I'm not starting. I looked at the fuel filter and it looked like it was empty, and I thought surely it can't be out of gas this soon after I put 22 litres into it the other day. I should go back and check my notes, because obviously the car's been starting a fair bit lately, but 20 litres worth of driveway moving? Surely not. But anyway, I put the remainder of my lawnmower jerry can with the fuel in the car, and sure enough it started up. So it drinks a lot of fuel for a car that sits in the driveway. It's a bit of a worry. But it does also mean the tank is practically empty, so maybe I should take the tank out. See how it goes. Hopefully I don't go boom. Okay, I have roughly shaped up the metal that will go into the hole that this piece of rusty metal has come out of. So I've just used a couple of pieces of angle to use to form this up, and let's see how close I've gotten to getting this to work on my first turn. I think I can make that work. I just need to trim it up a bit. Let's see how close to the mark I am now. I find this kind of thing to be constant trial and error. Still need to trim a little bit off the corners. Let's try again. Mark and trim and mark and trim and mark and trim and mark and trim and mark and trim. GoPro go flat much sooner these days. little bit of panel beading along the center. Just needs a little bit of work along there so that that edge has less of a curve in it. Try that. I think that will do. What I will do is mark these holes for spot welding so I can replicate them on this piece of metal and then just take it in. Super dodgy. Let's see how far off it is. I think it's time to tack this in and then fine tune it from there. Might push the car back into the garage though, it's hot in the sun. So far so good. Voila! I will let that cool down and I'll grind it back and probably just chuck some satin black on it and that job will be done. Then I need to address this hole, which hopefully should just take a square patch, but for the time being I'm pretty satisfied with that. That is the ground back article. I could get carried away filling a bunch of tiny little pinholes around where I've welded, but I've already started filling the pinholes and it just makes more holes, so I'm going to throw black paint over that and leave it as it is. There were a couple of rust holes along here which I've filled full of weld as well, so I'll get some paint on that and then I'll get on to the next phase of this. So while the GoPro was on charge, I've plated that one down there. It actually went pretty well, to be honest, because it was two pieces of metal sandwiched together, and the top piece of metal had just puffed up, so I cut the patch out and treated it, and then welded a square of mudguard over it, and had good access for the grinder, so it all tied up really well. So now I'm just going to throw paint over it and move on to the last rust hole in the entire car. Last one. That I don't plan to bother to do anything with anyway. Ta-da! Good as new. What a productive day this has been. Okay, given that this is quite hard to get to, I've opted just to grind out as much of the rust as I can, treat it, and then weld a plate over the hole. I'm not going to get carried away cutting it all out and butt welding it. So I'm literally just shaping up a plate to weld over the hole that remains, and that will do. I'll grind it all up and tidy up best as I can, but I don't want to get that carried away and try and figure out a way to get access to cutting tools into that tight gap. I'd rather just plate it and move on to the next phase. Obviously, if any of the stuff creeps back in the next 5 to 10 years, I can just go ahead and fix it all over again. But for now, I just need the holes to be gone. So there you have it, last rust hole welded up. I'll give that a bit of a grind back and throw some paint down and wrap this episode up. Alright, summary time for episode 46 of Missile Industries Ford Falcon 351 Crusty Wagon Project. So, the tailgate is in paint, sitting over there. I have spent this afternoon welding all the rust holes in the frame of the car. This actually marks the end of all the rust repairs that I need to do. So theoretically, once the tailgate goes back in and everything works properly, I just have to tidy up a few loose ends, and then it'll be time to think, actually wait a minute, I've got a power steering leak to deal with. Damn it! So the tailgate will go back on. I'll do all that next episode and put all of the bits and bobs back onto the tailgate, put the glass back in, put all of the missing pieces for the frame of the wagon that the glass goes back into, and hopefully that all works out. I'm not really sure how all that goes together or goes back in, but I'll figure that out next episode. So, good result. Painting, weld repairs, hopefully that's the last of the welding for this project for the time being. That'd be great. Just need to focus on tying up all the bits and bobs, the loose ends. I've still got parts on my shelf over there that need to go in, and I've got some tinting tape, because while the glass is going to be out in the episodes coming up, I'm going to tint all the windows, because I like tinted windows, and that'll be something I haven't done before. But tinting tape is cheap, and detergent in a squirty bottle is also cheap, so I'm going to have a red hot go at that. So tune in next time where I put that tailgate back into this car with all the glass and this and that, and hopefully it all works and it shuts properly. I should probably add, just as we tie things up to this episode, that I didn't end up taking the tank out because it was a big fat headache to do it, and I thought I would just take my chances. I'm not above taking foolish risks to make projects move along more quickly, and as you can see there were no explosions, so it all worked out. So no harm, no foul. So I should just throw these pieces of rust in the bin, and I will see you next time.